so many cool houses, right? So many cool houses. And we drew them all last week on Draw With Me. I'm Danny Gregory. This is the Tired Twiglet. And I just want to remind you that if you do some drawings as part of Draw With Me, which hopefully you will today, share them on social media and put this hashtag, SBS Draw With Me. And then we can put it in the beginning of next week's show, episode. What are these things called? Event. Anyway, there goes Twiglet to... she's very busy. She has a lot of other things going on, many other things she needs to do. So today is going to be pretty exciting. And you are going to need everything in your arsenal today. So start looking around for what art supplies you have at hand and start making huge piles all around you, because that's what today's going to be. It's called Art Supply Relay, and I will explain to you in a minute. In the meantime, I just want to make a quick couple of announcements, get them out of the way so that you will know that besides SBS Draw With Me, there's also my weekly essays, which are going out tomorrow. Tomorrow is a humdinger. And if you'd like to read it, go to bit.ly/Danny's Essays, sign up, and I'll send it to you. No obligation, except the obligation to read it. And if you don't read it, I'll know, and I'll come to your house, and I'll take one of your most precious possessions, and I won't surrender it until you've read this week's essay, if I have the time. If not, you can wait and read it next time. Also, if you'd like to text with me, man, I have a lot of fun texting with people. I send them stuff, they send me stuff, we chat, we jabber. There's hundreds of them now. It's basically my full-time occupation now, is texting with people. But if you'd like to text with me, if you are lucky enough to live in the United States or in Canada, text me at 919-298-8117, and I'll text you back. Write it down. You may not want to do it now, but you might wake up tomorrow and say, what was I doing? Of course I want to text with Danny Gregory. And so you'll write it down. What else? Watercolor your home. Okay, I'm not going to talk about this much, because if you have been a regular watcher, participant in Draw With Me, then you know that we have an amazing new workshop coming up. I have to say, this is a workshop that people have been asking us for ages. First of all, it's with Ian Fenley, who everybody loves. He's done a workshop with us before. He's done a class with us before. He's amazing. But also, this is about making a watercolor of your home. It could be the home you live in now. It could be the home you lived in as a kid. It could be where you raised your children. It could be where you'd like to live. Or it could just be simply polishing your urban sketching skills. But this is going to be about pens and markers and watercolors. It's really fun. It's going to be pretty in-depth, but it doesn't matter whether you've ever drawn a building before. You'll get it. He'll teach you how to draw composition. He will teach you how to use all the different materials. And this is a really pretty in-depth one. We're going to spend quite a bit of time doing this. So it's going to be on Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time. I'm telling you, if you take one workshop, take this one. And don't just take one workshop, take lots of them. What are you doing? Do it. So you have until midnight tonight to sign up for it. We've extended this a little bit so that it drives Morgan crazy, but it gives you a bit more time to sign up. But I'm telling you, do this one. It's going to be a really great one. I'm really looking forward to it. Last week we drew homes. Now we're going to learn really how to do it properly. So anyway, go to our website, sketchbookschool.com. Look at the area that says workshops, and you will see how to sign up for it. So I won't give you any more details than that. That's about it. All right, so I think I bolted through all this pretty quickly. Jenny, can I sign up and watch it later, as I don't think I'll be in the right place at the live time? You can. You'll get a recording of it, But I would say whatever you're doing couldn't possibly be more important than this. So just cancel it and come and join us. But if you don't, I understand. Marilyn, she took an earlier workshop and loved it. Of course you did. It was great. I mean, Ian is he's the bomb. Rose is in. Yes, she says her painting might be a gift. What a fantastic gift, honestly. Can you imagine giving somebody a painting of their home? Or, say you have a sister you haven't seen in a while because of the pandemic. Here's the house we grew up in, or your kids. It's really great. You could do one painting and then make copies of it. Correction, closes tomorrow night at 11:59 Pacific. You see, you left it to me, Alexis, to explain this information. But I would say sign up tonight. I would say sign up not right now because we're about to start drawing, but do it soon. Okay, Sabrina's excited. All of you Spark members, remember you get that serious discount on this thing, so you should be doing it. Okay, guys, let's get on with this. So here's the idea of an art supply relay. It's something we invented last summer when Kosha and Kosha, you remember this? We were in Amsterdam. Well, you're currently in Amsterdam, I bet. But when we were in Amsterdam, the idea was we got together with a couple of our other friends. We had a bunch of art supplies, and we said, all right, let's all draw this. I think we drew a shoe, and every couple minutes, a bell would go off, and we would have to pass whatever we were drawing with to the next person. So you'd get up and end up getting handed, like, oh, great, this marker, it's big and ugly. Fine, I better work with it. Oh, this color, it's totally not what I was planning to use, but okay, I'll work with it. So you get thrown these different challenges. You don't know what they're going to be, so you got to just make the best of it. So it's a really great way of, first of all, loosening up and playing and having fun because we're just making stuff, but also, trying out different things. I mean, one of the things I was doing is I was gathering my stuff for this in a big pile on my desk. I thought, it's interesting how many new media I've been experimenting with this year. Gouache, these intense colored pencils, lots of different ones. So I thought, okay, this will be like a kind of a year-end summary of all the art materials I've played with. Just jam them all into one thing. So what are we going to draw? It's kind of up to you. I think I'm going to draw me because I haven't drawn a selfie in a while. And there's something nice about the idea of drawing a selfie made up of all the things that I played with this year. So I got the mirror over here and I got my pad down here. Let me just move to the pad. So here's the pad. I'm using just, this is just a piece of Bristol because I want to have something that will work with any kind of art supplies, no matter what it is that I pull up. Let me just show you some of the things. So I kind of picked random ones and random colors because I want to challenge myself. So I've got this Acrylic Brush Pen here, and it is yellow ochre. I'll just take you through these different things that I've got here. Then I've got another one, and this one is cold gray. So put that there. And then what else? I've got a Pro marker, Winsor Newton Pro marker. It's a brush in dusky pink. So these brush ones are pretty nice because they got a big fat side on one side, and they got a brush on the other side. And I might say to myself, you know what? You can only use one side or the other. And then I've got my favorite Tombow calligraphy pen. And I've got a gel pen here. It's a Uniball, an orange gel pen. I bought this when we did ballpoint pens with Gigi Chen. And I've got this, which I don't even know if I've ever used. It's a perma marker. It's also orange. It's a cheap kind of one that came in a giant box when I was first in the pandemic and I had no art supplies. So I got this giant box that my wife bought me. It had all these not very good art supplies, but lots of them, and that was the main thing. Here's another Pro marker brush. This one is lime green. I've got my Pentel Brush Pen. What else? I got my Peacock Blue Derwent Inktense, and I've got a couple others. We'll see if they come to play. There's a cherry colored one, and there's a tan one. What else? I've got some gouache, some white gouache, and some cadmium-free lemon gouache, both from Winsor Newton. And what else have I got here? Let's chuck them all in the pile. Oh, I've got a glue stick. You know why? Because I have a few drawings that I did earlier this year. You might remember these. I did this on Live Drawing Party. And remember when we drew these shapes? And there was a time we drew a crumpled up dollar bill. And then there was these sheep that we drew at one point. And then there was a blind contour selfie. And what else? Oh yeah, this 3-colored pencil coffee cup with, for some reason, Dick Van Dyke and Gene Wilder written there. I guess those are celebrities who draw. What else? Got a toothbrush. Don't worry, this is not my regular toothbrush. This black is not an indication of my dental hygiene. I've got a Pentel sign pen. These are pretty nice to draw with. I don't think they're waterproof, but we'll find out. And oh yeah, I've got some other kinds of colored pencils. Here's some Stadlers. Stadler, just kind of basic colored pencils. A couple of greens. See how those come into play. I've just been trying out these new Winsor Newton fine liners. I got a 0.5 and a 0.3 here. I've got a little Inkjoy Mini. Oh, and I've got some Inktense blocks. I've got this red one. I've got this orange one. What else? Oh, I've got watercolors. I was thinking I might just throw in a bit of watercolor. And then I've got my Sumi ink. Got that standing by. Okay. I think that's enough. So here's the idea. I'm going to put this pile over here. A cool way to do this actually would be to have like a bag or something like that you just reach into, and you go, okay, I'm gonna just grab whatever randomly comes up. So maybe I'll just do the equivalent of that. I'll just grab something. So I'm going to set a timer, and it has 2 minutes set on the clock. So I think we will do this for, it's now 1/4 the hour. Let's plan to do this for just under 20 minutes. I think I've got, 16 minutes, okay? So it's going to be, the timer's going to go off every 2 minutes, and it'll immediately start the next timer. So as soon as the timer goes off, grab the next thing, okay? Figure out what you're going to draw, and just go with it. You have 2 minutes. You can't use anything else. And the more random, the more fun, okay? So don't get crazy about this. Don't be like, oh no, what am I doing? Don't cheat. Don't cheat. Are you with me? Are you into this? Here we go. On your marks, and make sure you make a lot of marks. Get set. Start. Here we go. Time's running. Okay, I grabbed this gray Equiline. Let me pull up a bit here. I'm looking at a disadvantage. You guys at least don't have to deal with stupid cameras and stuff. But come on, focus, please. Focus. Thank you. You haven't drawn me in quite a while. So it's a good thing to get back to. Drawing the old physiognomy. See how I've changed? How much I've aged since the last time I did this. Caught up in my ear for some reason. All right, well, see, in a lot of ways, this drawing, like getting it right the first time, is not that important because this is going to be a really intensely layered kind of thing. And I'm going to spend, I'm going to probably go, we're having the Spark after party after this, so I may spend an hour or more on this. So an hour, and so therefore I'm going to want to give myself some latitude because I'm going to screw things up. Because I'm also kind of tense about the time, right? I'm like, oh boy, this time is going to be my enemy. But I'm worried about that bell going off and getting forced to try and grab something else, but it's okay. And also, in some ways, this first one feels kind of the most stressful because it's the one that's going to decide what a lot of other materials are going to have to work with. If I screw up like the size of my chin, then I'm really going to be in trouble. But so far, so good. Ooh, we're ready. Ooh, that's weird. The timer didn't go off. Okay, so we should be moving on to the next one. Damn. I got this new clock to do this with, so I'm just grabbing my green pencil. See what happens. Why doesn't this go off? I'm sorry. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to start this. We're going to start the bell again. Here we go. All right. Well, I'm screwed, so I have to just deal with it. The fact that I didn't hear the bell go off. So anyway, you did, or you didn't. But in any case, you're hopefully onto your second piece of art supply material. And you are getting into it. It's interesting, like it's such a completely different experience now switching to this pencil. You also have to figure out, like, what are you going to use a pencil for, a colored pencil? Is a colored pencil going to be for making lines, or is it going to be for making color? You know? Like it could be that you just sort of like do light sketches, which would be kind of cheating. And I said no cheating. You know, you could just say, well, I'm not really going to color in this green thing, but you could decide that I'm going to commit to every line I make. And there we go. I look a little bewildered in this picture already, which is interesting. Damn it. Okay, I'm going to rethink this. Let me just do something else, because we're not hearing the clock go off. Okay, so we're on to the third one now. Sorry, we're on to the third one. Hopefully this one will do better. Now I'm grabbing this brush pen, Pro Marker brush. Totally different experience again. This brush is kind of cool. It's very soft and flexible, which I like, but it's a new experience for me. It's sort of like drawing with a brush, but a very soft one, a very yielding one. Because you can also decide, like, am I going to make decisions based on the material, or I'm going to make it on the progress of the drawing. So like I'm kind of just carrying on as if I was working with that same material, right? I'm just continuing to fill in the parts of the face that I hadn't drawn before. But maybe that's not the best decision. Maybe instead I should say, well, I've got this flesh colored marker, or it's the color of my flesh at least, and I should just, use it. I mean, maybe I'll say, you know what, I am going to cheat and use the big broad part of this, and I'm going to color this in. Huh. Yeah, it's kind of daring. Probably not necessarily a good decision, but it's okay. There's going to be there's a lot of journey to cover, a lot of road, and we might kind of come over that later on. I've also made myself kind of to have sort of a lantern jaw. Big chins are a Gregory trait. We do have sort of largish chins. Oh, there we go. Done. Okay, this one is working now. Here we go again. All right, next 2 minutes. Okay, I've got the Pentel Brush Pen now. And we're on to the next one. Pentel Brush Pen. Okay. All right, are you on to, I guess this is the 5th material? The 5th. I mean, another way you could do this, I suppose, is you could just vary between several different ones. So you could just go back and forth between 3 or 4. But there's something very satisfying about the randomness of this. I think it's always interesting to me, at least, to have excuses for doing a bad drawing. Like, well, what do you expect? I was handed a Pentel brush pen right after I was working with a big pink marker. Of course it's terrible. It's really good to have excuses. As long as you're still drawing, as long as they're not excuses for not drawing, but they're excuses that that keep your inner critic at bay, because you say, well, what did you expect, monkey? I set this horrible challenge for myself. Of course it's crap. On to the next. All right, I got a red pencil here. Great. This is, I call this a relay. In some ways, it's like a bunch of sprints. It can be quite exhilarating, but also you're like, oh my God, I've got to get going. Because I want to make the most of this. I don't want to suddenly pause and go, let me just sit back and look at this for a minute, because if I do, then I'll miss the opportunity to, to really work on this. To work with this one. If I run out of time with my red pencil, it's never coming back. That's it. So I've got to decide, like, where am I going to use it best? For some reason, I decided that the top of the ear was the best place to use it. Hard to say why. But I kind of like the look of this marker on top of colored pencil. Although it looks a bit like I have some kind of rash on the side of my face. But again, we'll deal with that. All these problems, all these immediate judgments, like, oh no, road rash, they're just a second moment, of a problem to contend with. And this too will pass, and new problems will arise. And this one, which seems so catastrophic right now, will turn out to actually be nothing compared to what's on the road ahead. Oh my God, what's he going to do with that gouache? Yeah, exactly. What am I going to do with that gouache? On to the next. Okay, I'm going to grab this orange pencil. Here we go. Orange gel pen. Orange gel pen. Le stylo d'orange. So there's two slightly different colored eyes, well, slightly different, massively different colored eyes. Give me a sort of like a look of a husky, or my sister-in-law's dog that is a Australian sheepdog. Has one blue eye and one, it's almost white eye, and one brown. Isn't it brown? Golden colored. It's also deciding what materials you're going to use to hatch with. What are you going to use to just do kind of big surfaces? If you take like a colored pencil, there's so many different things you could do with a colored pencil, right? In terms of mark making. And, what's that going to be like? Like right now I have a lot to work with, but as this progresses, particularly if I work on this for another hour or two, the differences that I make with each material are going to be smaller and smaller. Possibly. I could decide that, I'm going to just paint over the whole thing with white gouache, just in some kind of destructive frenzy, and then figure out what to do there. Start it fresh. But generally, it would seem like these earlier materials, are the ones that are making the bigger difference. Okay. All right. Okay, I got you. All right, we're on to the next one. Here we go. Oh no, this pen is almost dead. Hadn't anticipated that, but I'm stuck with it. Yep, there's nothing I can do about it. Gotta use it. What else can I do? Stupid pen. It's actually stupid me, because I probably left it uncapped. And now, actually, it's kind of a cool effect. If I'd set out to accomplish this effect, I could probably never have gotten it. If I'd said, you know what, I want to look like my face is really dirty. How am I going to do that? Well, I should wait for a marker to get really dry, maybe leave it under the desk somewhere, let my dog chew on it, and see what happens. God, I can't wait for this thing to be over. This is the worst. The worst pen ever. I'm tempted to lick it or suck it. I'm dipping it in water. We'll see if that makes sense. Oh no. Yes, that was interesting. All right, so it's reanimated. It is reanimated. That wasn't hard. Gee whiz. Why didn't you tell me that was going to happen? Because now it's gone from being the most useless color to being the most intense. I've got to be careful, because it's gone a bit nuts. See, it's giving up again. It's giving up. It was a temporary. It was like in Pulp Fiction when she gets this shot of adrenaline to the heart. Okay, moving on. Let's try the next one. Okay, I'm going to use this. On the other end of the spectrum is this Winsor Newton fine liner. It is a 0.5, but it is brown. So I think I'm going to use it as a cross-hatching thing. It's weird weather here today, because for the I think just about the first or maybe second time since we've been living here in Phoenix, it rained. And it's going to apparently continue raining all day. It's very weird. As I said, it just doesn't happen. I mean, this is the desert. And I think this year in particular, it's been incredibly rare. But maybe that's what it's like here in the desert in the winter. Haven't really spent a whole winter here before, so we'll find out. because it was like 80 degrees yesterday. Today it's sweater weather. Boy, this is a bit of a dog's breakfast, isn't it? It's a weird expression, dog's breakfast. My dog eats the same thing for breakfast that she eats for lunch and dinner, so I'm not even sure what that term means, but I guess it's like just throw any scraps on the floor that you have. Throw any art supplies you have on the floor. Let the dog chew on them. On to the next. Okay, so it's now 32 past the hour. So we're getting close to where I'm going to, well, we have probably 3 or 4 more things to try. You can keep going. You could literally go through every single art supply you have in the house and spend, I bet, weeks on this, right? Because honestly, don't you have a huge number of things lying around that you haven't used? And here's the perfect excuse to use them all. To say, you know what? Here's that screen printing kit that I bought myself 4 Christmases ago and never used. I'm going to have to add a little bit of screen printing ink and maybe cut a couple of stencils. Or you might say, here are these cans of spray paint that have been sitting around in the garage unused since we plan to redo that lawn furniture. Better get them out. Spray down this self-portrait. Could be. See, I have not been paying attention to this forehead, so I think I'm just going to add something to it. It looks a bit bare. Well, my forehead is bare, thanks to genetics. But there's no reason that I can't remedy the situation with a Pentel sign marker. All right. Carolyn has art supplies from school that have been sitting in a drawer for 10 years. Perfect. Pull them out. Let's see what we got next. Probably had some... Oh, what's this? This is a black pencil. I'd forgotten I even had this. I think this is just randomly lying on the table. It wasn't really even in the lineup, but it's coming in there. It's kind of unpleasant to draw with just a hard pencil in the middle of all this. It's kind of shiny. This is not very nice. And this is another way of also like kind of figuring out what art supplies you like. I mean, if you find you have all these art supplies sitting around that you're never using, it's possible because you don't really like them. But you might also say, you know what? Oh, I hadn't even thought about this thing for ages. And actually, I kind of like the feeling of it. Or you might say, you know, this is really good for one very particular thing. And that maybe I should try doing that thing because I haven't done it in a while. What could that thing be? I don't know. I said it, and now I have no idea what I was talking about. But no, there are definitely particular uses for art supplies that sometimes you're in the mood for and sometimes you're not, right? Acrylic paint, for instance. You might say, you know what? I kind of like doing acrylics, but the fact is I don't know if I can be bothered to set up easels and, you know, get out old T-shirts to work in and find some giant surface to paint on. And then what am I going to do if I have a giant acrylic painting I did? What am I going to do with that painting? Right? That was often the thing that prevented me from kind of going too far with acrylics, was having all these giant paintings sitting around my house. And then we moved to a house that really didn't have very much wall space because it had a lot of windows. And I was like, okay, great. Now what? What do I do with all these things? So, all right, here we go. Next one up. For those of you who are playing along at home, I'm going to sharpen this pencil. Lucky to have gotten this blue just at a time I could really use it, just to add. For some reason I have all these browns, shades of brown, which are not bad when you're doing a portrait, but it's nice to have a bit of contrast. Doing a selfie looking in the mirror, it's like you're doing a drawing of yourself, what you look like when you're drawing, which is kind of a particular mode, you know? It's not necessarily the way you look when you're having a conversation, or, you know, when you look in the mirror to brush your teeth, or, you know, whatever reason you have for looking in the mirror and seeing yourself. Because we tend to see ourselves pretty differently than other people do, just because of the weird times when we look at ourselves. You know, you look at yourself to see how you look in a particular outfit, or you look at yourself to see if you have spinach in your teeth. But all right, you know what? I'm going to give myself a break and bring in some watercolor, just because I'm struggling with all these little lines, and I want to do something a bit mushier, bigger. It's just. But I don't have a lot of time to do it. Here we go. So I'm going to. I should have elected beforehand which color I was going to use, but I'm just going to use an orange. Ooh, it's kind of wreaking havoc with the lines underneath it, but that's okay. Yeah, you see, this is the part where it starts to, that line work is getting erased here by this mushy orange watercolor, which is wet, and a lot of this stuff is not waterproof, so it's screwing things up. But in an interesting way, it's not. See, I mean, the lines are still there, even though they are slowly. You know, they're somewhat diminished. But they're not gone. So you see how it's like introducing one particular medium in the middle of it. Because normally, of course, I wouldn't work in this sequence if I was going to work with watercolor. I'd probably do the watercolor pretty early on. I'd do some line with a waterproof fine liner or something, and then I would introduce watercolor, but I've done it out of sequence, and you know, it's kind of crazy. All right, I think I'm going to take a pause here. I'm going to take a pause, and I'm going to... This is one of those assignments I was like, oh, that would be a really good idea. And then you start doing it, and you go, oh, boy, that was a bit of a challenge. Why not? It's just a random Thursday, and we drew together. Darlene was probably wiser. She says, I look in the mirror and think, no way, I'm not drawing that. I'd rather draw this old shoe instead. I'll draw this onion. Come on, Darlene. I'm sure you look gorgeous. Oh, you're drawing the view outside. Oh, you're talking about something else. Okay. Yes. Carolyn's using pastels. Yeah, pastels are a nightmare. Particularly in a sketchbook. I'm sure there are ways of using them. God knows there are a lot of great artists who use them. I find them a nightmare. But, yes. What else? Sam, what if we're saving the best supplies when we get to another level? Really? That's a good idea, because when you get to that quote-unquote other level, if you ever get there, if you ever decide that you've actually reached that level, by then your art supplies will be completely ancient, crumbling, and you'll have to go back to the art supply store. And when you do, you'll find stuff that won't be usable until you get to the next level, and so on and so forth. No, eat what's on your plate. Just do it. Art supplies, honestly, hoarding them, I understand it. I've got a lot that I've hoarded too. But the reality is, it is a rainy day. I was going to say there's never a rainy day. It is actually a rainy day here. But if you're saving them for the rainy day, don't bother. Just get on it. Get on it and start doing it. Deborah points out my paintings behind me. Yeah, I just put those up. That's my street in Los Angeles. That's acrylic. Those are acrylic paintings. The street behind me. Yes. We're certainly tempted when we were pulling them out to say, maybe I should do some more of that stuff. I don't know if I will, but there's plenty of other things to do. CW has done an impressionist, expressionist version of myself. I like that. Impressionist and expressionist. That sounds very interesting. Debbie, terrified of watercolors. Come on in, the watercolors, fine. Sign up for watercolor rules and how to break them at sketchbook school, and then you won't be afraid ever again. Or better yet, well, not better yet, but also take Ian Fenley's Watercolor Your Home workshop this weekend and get over it. They're just pigment in medium sitting in little pans. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of, I promise you. They are fun, even though they're a little sometimes like riding a bucking bronco, but that's fun. That's exhilarating. Lynn is using her grandchildren's paints and crayons to draw a sewing machine. That sounds fun. It's fun drawing with kids' art supplies, because you're not precious about them. You're like, ah. And then a lot of them are kind of bold and bright, and they're meant to be just played with, and they're meant to like snap in half, and you just don't care. So, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. Well, guys, this has been a lot of fun. I've got to go because we have the after party to get to. But I hope I will see you this weekend at Ian's workshop. We have another exciting event coming up pretty soon next week that I'll tell you about. Oh, here's a really important thing. I would love to be in touch with you about what we're doing, and I would love to let you know when, I might take a break from Draw With Me, let's say. I'm thinking about it. But if I do, then you're going to say, well, how am I ever going to find out whether there's another Draw With Me? Very simple. Subscribe to this channel. Right below here, there's a button. It says subscribe. Just click it. No salesman will call. It just means that you'll get a notification from YouTube that there's another event, Draw With Me event happening. So just do it. Subscribe. It's easy. I saw recently that 2/3 of the people who come to Draw With Me don't subscribe. Why? Costs you nothing. I subscribe to all the stuff I like, and then you find out when there's another one. So just do it. And if you're watching this in a recording, you can still subscribe. So do it. Subscribe. Okay, we are ready to move on. We're ready to move on to the rest of our day. Keep going with this. Set your own timer every 2 minutes for days. You could be flipping through all of your art supplies. I'd love to see what you're doing. So don't forget, please, if you do it, post it, use hashtag SBS Draw With Me so I can find it. And I'll see you next week with another exciting art adventure as we make something super cool. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks for drawing with me. See you later. Bye-bye.